Indoor Matters with Damien and Sarah.
Hey everyone, Damien here with another episode of Indoor Matters, the only podcast in the UAE where we dive into the important and often overlooked topics about our indoor environment. Here with my co-host, Sarah.
Hello everyone, awesome to be here.
We dissect all the matters that affect our indoor environmental health to help you understand and make decisions for better indoor environmental quality. This podcast is powered by Sani Service, the UAE's leading indoor environmental health management company. So let's get to this episode's topic. Today we're taking a look at something that's pretty close to home for all of us here in the UAE.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. We're going to be talking about our homes and offices and looking at how these spaces that we, spend so much time in could actually be impacting our health.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we think about health risks, we usually think, pollution, traffic, maybe even the food we eat.
Right.
But it turns out that our indoor environments can play a pretty big role too, especially here in the UAE, where we spend a lot of time indoors.
Absolutely. And that's where the concept of oxidative stress comes in.
Okay, so oxidative stress. Now, I've heard that term before, but to be honest, I'm not entirely sure I understand what it actually means.
So think of it like this. Imagine your cells are constantly being bombarded by these tiny little aggressors.
Okay.
These aggressors are called free radicals, and they're a natural byproduct of our body's normal processes. But when we're exposed to certain pollutants, it's like sending in reinforcements for the enemy.
So it's like our cells are under attack.
Exactly. And when these free radicals outnumber our body's natural defenses, which are called antioxidants, that's when we start to see damage happening at the cellular level.
So it's like our defenses are overwhelmed and the bad guys start winning.
That's a good way to put it. And the cellular damage, that's what we call oxidative stress.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture now. And the white paper we're looking at today, the role of building materials and furnishings in oxidative stress dives right into how our homes could be contributing to this whole battle going on inside of us.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that, we often focus on outdoor pollution, but our homes here in the UAE, with all their modern materials, can actually be a significant source of these free radicals.
So those sleek, modern interiors we all love could actually be hiding a secret.
It's true, and it's not always obvious.
So where do these sneaky free radicals come from? What are we talking about here?
Well, think about some of the common building materials we use here in the UAE. Pressed wood products, insulation, even some types of plastics.
Okay, we see those all the time.
Right. And these materials, they can release chemicals like formaldehyde and phthalates.
Okay, I've definitely heard of formaldehyde.
Right. It's the one that usually comes to mind with new furniture.
It has that strong chemical smell.
Exactly, that new furniture smell. That's actually a big clue. It's a sign that those materials are off-gassing VOCs, volatile organic compounds, into the air.
VOCs, formaldehyde phthalates. It's starting to sound like a pretty nasty cocktail.
Yeah, it's not the kind of cocktail you want to be sipping on, and unfortunately, we often don't even realize we're breathing these things in.
So it's not just about that initial irritation of a strong smell. It's about the long-term effects of constantly being exposed to these chemicals.
Exactly. It's like a slow burn. It might not be immediately obvious, but over time, it can really take a toll on our health.
And we're talking about things that most of us have in our homes, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's not just about what's outside our windows. It's about what's inside our walls, too.
Mm-hmm. And it goes beyond the walls, too. We need to think about furnishings as well. Carpets, sofas, even decorative items.
Oh, wow. So really, everything in our homes could be a potential source of these harmful chemicals.
Oh, potentially, yes.
Okay, I'm definitely starting to rethink my love for that new car smell air freshener.
That's a good instinct.
But seriously, how do we even know what to look out for? It's not like we're all walking around with chemical detectors.
You're right. It can feel overwhelming, but there are things we can do. And one of the simplest yet most effective ways to start is by focusing on ventilation.
Ventilation, so like opening the windows.
Exactly.
But isn't that kind of counterintuitive here in the UAE? I mean, we have AC for a reason, right?
I know it sounds crazy, but even short bursts of fresh air can make a huge difference.
So we're talking about like just opening the windows for a few minutes each day.
Exactly. Think of it like flushing out your home.
Flushing out all those toxins. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So quick blasts of fresh air. What other ventilation tips do you have for us desert dwellers?
Well, you probably already know this, but those exhaust fans in your kitchen and bathrooms, those are your best friends. Yeah, I have to admit I sometimes forget about those.
They're so important, though. Use them religiously when you're cooking or showering to pull out moisture and airborne particles.
Okay, so ventilation is key. What else can we do to create a healthier indoor environment?
Well, let's talk about air purifiers.
Oh yeah, air purifiers. I've seen a lot of those on the market lately. Are they actually effective?
They can be, especially if you choose the right ones. Look for ones with HEPA filters.
HEPA filters. What does HEPA stand for?
High efficiency particulate air. It's basically a superfine filter that can trap even the tiniest particles like dust, pollen, and a lot of those VOCs we were talking about.
So is it like a shield for your lungs?
Yeah, you could think of it that way.
HEPA filters, got it. What about those activated carbon filters? I've heard about those too.
Those are good too, especially for absorbing gases like VOCs. Ideally, you want a purifier that has both HEPA and activated carbon filters for maximum protection.
So it's like having a double defense system. Okay, that's really helpful. But what about going beyond gadgets? Are there any choices we can make in our daily lives to reduce our exposure to these harmful chemicals?
Absolutely. And this is where mindful consumerism comes in. It starts with being aware of what you're bringing into your home.
Okay, so like when we're shopping for furniture or other things for our homes, what should we be looking out for?
Well, let's take sofas, for example. They're a big investment and something we spend a lot of time on.
Yeah, I'm picturing that big comfy sectional.
Right. So when you're choosing a sofa, think about the materials. What's it made of?
Okay, so leather fabric, what's the best option?
Leather is a good choice, especially if it's naturally tanned and not treated with a lot of harsh chemicals.
What about fabric sofas?
If you're going for fabric, look for natural fibers like cotton linen or wool.
Okay, so natural materials are better. Is that true for other things too, like carpets and curtains?
Absolutely. For carpets, wool or natural fiber rugs are great options. And for curtains, linen and organic cotton are good choices.
So we're basically trading that new furniture smell for peace of mind.
Exactly. It's about making conscious choices that prioritize your health and well-being.
Okay, I'm getting that. But what about those green or eco-friendly labels? Are those always reliable?
That's a good question. And unfortunately, it can be tricky. There are a lot of different certifications out there, and some are more rigorous than others.
So how do we know which ones to trust?
Do your research. Look into the specific certifications a product claims to have. Check their standards and see if they're backed by reputable, independent organizations.
Don't just take the label at face value. Dig a little deeper.
Exactly. There are some great resources online that can help you make informed decisions.
Okay, so knowledge is power.
Yeah.
I like that. So we're talking about ventilation air purifiers and choosing healthier materials. What else can we do to create a healthier indoor environment?
Well, let's talk about cleaning products.
Cleaning products. I mean, those are supposed to make our homes cleaner, right?
You'd think so. But a lot of conventional cleaning products are actually loaded with harsh chemicals.
So that clean smell could actually be masking something not so clean.
It's possible. A lot of those chemicals can off-gas into the air long after you finished cleaning.
Okay, so what are we supposed to do? Give up on having a clean home?
No, not at all. There are plenty of natural cleaning products available that are just as effective but much gentler on your health and the environment.
Natural cleaning products.
Okay.
I'm intrigued. What should we be looking for?
Look for products that are plant-based and free of harsh chemicals like bleach ammonia and artificial fragrances.
So those are the things to avoid. What about ingredients? What should we be looking for?
Things like baking soda vinegar and essential oils are great natural cleaning agents.
Essential oils, I love those. And don't forget good old-fashioned soap and water.
You're right. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best.
Okay, so it's about simplifying, going back to basics, and being mindful of the ingredients we're using. What about scents? I mean, we all love a nice smelling home.
I know, but unfortunately, a lot of conventional air fresheners, candles, even scented cleaning products can be major sources of indoor pollutants.
Really? Even those diffuser sticks and candles?
Sadly, yes. A lot of them contain synthetic fragrances and chemicals that can actually worsen your indoor air quality.
Wow, so even those fresh linen and ocean breeze scents can be deceiving.
They can be, but the good news is there are plenty of natural alternatives.
Okay, so like what?
Well, you can use essential oil diffusers with pure therapeutic-grade oils. You can also create your own natural air fresheners with things like dried herbs, citrus peels, or simmering spices.
Those sound lovely. What about those plug-in air fresheners? Are those a definite no-go?
It's best to avoid them if possible. They tend to release those synthetic fragrances continuously, which can be overwhelming and potentially harmful.
Okay, I'm definitely rethinking my scent strategy. So we've got natural cleaning products, natural scents. What else can we do to detox our homes?
Don't underestimate the power of good old-fashioned dusting and vacuuming.
Wait, seriously? My mom's always nagging me about that.
It makes a difference. It helps remove dust mites, pet dander pollen, and other allergens that can contribute to poor indoor air quality.
So those chores actually do matter.
They do. And if you have carpets, consider getting them professionally cleaned every so often to remove deep-seated dust and allergens.
Okay, noted. What about plants? I'm a bit of a plant enthusiast.
Plants are amazing. They're natural air purifiers. They absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen, and some species are particularly good at filtering out certain pollutants.
So I was right. Plants really do help purify the air.
They do. What kind of plants do you have?
I have some snake plants and a few others.
Those are great choices. There are so many great options that thrive here in the UAE, like snake plants, spider plants, peace lilies, even the ZZ plant.
I love having plants around. They make my home feel so much more alive.
They really do, and they're good for your health, too.
It's amazing how something as simple as a plant can make such a difference. So we've covered a lot today, from ventilation and air purifiers to choosing healthier materials, embracing natural cleaning products, and even adding some greenery to our homes. But before we wrap up, I want to touch on something we mentioned earlier, policy and regulations.
That's an important aspect. Individual action is crucial, but we also need to look at the bigger picture. What kind of standards are in place to ensure healthier building materials and practices?
That's a good point. What are the current regulations in the UAE regarding indoor air quality and the use of potentially harmful materials in buildings?
Well, the UAE has made progress in developing building codes and regulations, but the specific guidelines regarding indoor air quality and the use of materials that emit VOCs, formaldehyde, and phthalates are still evolving.
So it's a work in progress.
It is. There are some standards in place, but there's definitely room for improvement and a need for stricter regulations that truly prioritize public health.
So where do we go from here? How can we as individuals contribute to a healthier built environment, not just for ourselves, but for everyone in the UAE?
That's a great question, and it leads us to the importance of advocacy. As individuals, we have a voice and can contribute to positive change.
Okay, so what can we do to make our voices heard?
It starts with awareness. The more we understand about this issue, the more we can share that knowledge with others.
So spread the word. Educate our friends and family.
Exactly. Talk to your neighbors, your colleagues, even your building management.
Okay.
The more people who are aware of the potential risks of indoor pollutants, the more collective pressure we can create for change.
Right. So raise awareness.
Yeah.
What else can we do to advocate for stricter standards?
Support organizations and initiatives that are working to improve indoor air quality and promote the use of healthier building materials.
Okay.
There are some great groups here in the UAE that are dedicated to these causes.
So find those groups, volunteer, donate, or just spread the word about their work. That makes sense. We can actually be part of the solution.
Exactly. It's about being proactive, taking ownership of our health and well-being, and advocating for an environment that supports a vibrant life.
I love that. It's a collective effort. We've covered so much ground today, from understanding the science of oxidative stress to exploring practical solutions and even delving into the world of policy and advocacy. Before we wrap up, I have to ask, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember from this deep dive?
The key takeaway is this: your indoor environment matters. It can have a profound impact on your health and well-being. But the good news is you have the power to make choices that create a healthier space for yourself and your loved ones.
Be informed, be proactive, and make those healthy choices. That's a great message to end on. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Indoor Matters. Join us again next time as we dissect more indoor environmental health issues, only here in Indoor Matters. Until next time, stay curious and stay healthy.